When you hear the name Jason Bourne, what's the first thing you think of? But what if none of that actually happened? What if Jason Bourne's not even a real secret agent? He's just a regular guy with a regular job.
What? What the f?
We don't know anything about Bourne before the movie starts, and when he wakes up, he doesn't know anything about his life either. He removes something implanted in his body, and that leads him to a stash of money, weapons, and clues to his true identity. He's an expert in counter-surveillance and hand-to-hand combat. He meets a brunette woman that he eventually falls in love with, and a man he used to work for tries to kill him by sending an army of goons and assassins, but he's able to kill and outsmart everyone, and he eventually kills his former boss too. Now that's the basic summary of the Bourne identity, right? But what if the movie I just described was something else? What if it was actually the plot to the classic 1990s sci-fi action spy thriller, Total Recall?
What?
If you look hard enough, you could probably find similarities in almost every movie, but the Bourne identity and Total Recall are almost identical. And not in the basic action movie type of way, even the story beats and small details are the same. So the question has to be asked, is Jason Bourne really a regular guy that had all these secret agent memories implanted in his mind just like in Total Recall?
Are you stupid or something?
On the surface, that probably sounds ridiculous, but there's a few things about Jason Bourne that seem a little too good to be true. We never get an explanation as to why he's so much better than everyone else. It's not like with John Wick or James Bond where everyone's always talking about how great they are. Jason Bourne is just a regular agent that had all the same training and skills as everyone else, but somehow he's able to outsmart and kill government strategists and top-level assassins. The other thing that stands out is the fact that the leader of the Treadstone Project wants to kill Bourne for no real reason. Okay, he failed his mission, but there's never an attempt to try to figure out why. They worked together for years and he knows Bourne personally, but instead of trying to convince him to come back to base, he just keeps on trying to kill him. And even after they find out that he had amnesia, there's never an attempt to try to have a real conversation or de-escalate the situation. And I know that sounds like basic action movie conflict, but the exact same thing happens in Total Recall. Total Recall takes place in 2084, and Douglas Quaid is a construction worker who wants to take a vacation to Mars. But because his wife wants to go to Saturn, he goes to a company called Recall so he can just have the memory of going to Mars implanted in his brain. In addition to the basic Mars memory, there's also the option of adding a special memory, like being a millionaire playboy or a pro athlete. Quaid picks the secret agent option, but in the middle of the implant, something goes wrong. Apparently, he was actually a secret agent the whole time, so when they tried to implant the false memory, it exposed that he was already on a secret mission. Total Recall is action movie perfection, and there's not a single thing about it that's not awesome. It has a prime Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to overthrow a corrupt Martian crime boss with the help of underground rebels and telepathic mutants. It has violent RoboCop-level shootouts, great practical effects, and if all that wasn't good enough for you, it has cool futuristic technology and a hooker with 3 boobs. Total Recall is based on a Philip K. Dick story called We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. And even though the basic plot is similar, the movie asks a question that the original story never does. Was any of it real? Most people are happy leaving it all up to interpretation, but I think it's obviously a fake memory because the Recall salesman and technician explain everything that's going to happen in the movie.
You are a top operative, back under deep cover on your most important mission. People are trying to kill you left and right. You meet this beautiful, exotic woman. You get the girl, kill the bad guys, and save the entire planet.
We're doing alien artifacts now.
That's a new one. Blue sky on Mars.
Been married.
There's no way they would have known all these specific details unless it was all part of the memory that they implanted. I always wondered if everybody that went to Recall got the same memories. Like, if someone wanted the same thing Quaid got, would they get the same briefcase with the recording and have to dress up like the fat lady and remove the tracking device from their nose too? Would they meet the same taxi driver on Mars, or would everything else play out the same way? I don't think the movie ever tried to explore the idea that deeply because it wants you to think that everything might be real, but for the people that do get a real memory, is it like a choose your own adventure book, or would everything force you to make certain decisions and push you towards the same conclusion? Like, could you choose to let the bad guys win, or could you even join them and start killing people too? Now this is important because Jason Bourne's story is identical to Quaid's, and it feels like this is the basic story that Recall gives everyone who chooses the secret agent option. But let's examine the stories a little closer, so you can see that the similarities are more than just a surface level coincidence. The hero starts the adventure by waking up. We actually get to see a little of Quaid's life before getting the Recall implant, but the real story doesn't start until he wakes up. It's not until the end of the last movie that we see Bourne before he was a secret agent, but it's pretty strange that he goes to a place to have a procedure done, and that's when his memory about his past gets kind of fuzzy. The first thing we see is Jason Bourne's unconscious body floating in the Mediterranean Sea, and it's only after he wakes up that the story begins. The hero struggles with the fact that he has no memory of his past life. Quaid has no memory of who he is after he leaves the recall facility, but even after seeing a recording of himself explaining everything, he still can't remember anything that happened before going to recall. Bourne has the exact same problem because he can't remember his life before he was found floating in the Mediterranean Sea, and even after finding a safe deposit box with multiple passports and talking to a few government agents, he still doesn't fully remember who he is or why everyone is trying to kill him. In both cases, they start out using one name, only to discover later that their real name is something different. The hero starts out unconscious, wakes up, and then quickly passes out again. When Quaid goes to recall to get fake memories of going to Mars, he falls asleep and quickly wakes up in a panic. After a quick injection, he falls back asleep and they toss him in a cab so he can be somebody else's problem. Bourne is pulled out of the water by a group of fishermen, and after one of them removes 2 bullets from his back, Bourne suddenly wakes up, but he quickly passes out again. When they finally get to solid land, the fishermen pull together their money and give him a few bucks so he can catch a train. In both cases, they end up on public transportation that somebody else paid for. The hero instinctively knows how to fight. On his way home from recall, a few of Quaid's co-workers take him into an alley so they can kill him, but he instinctively uses some deadly fighting moves and instead kills all of them. Bourne faces a similar situation when he's approached by 2 policemen for sleeping illegally on a park bench. When they threaten him with a nightstick, his instincts kick in and he knocks both of the officers unconscious. In both cases, the hero takes a moment to show how horrified he is by what he just did, but after each altercation after that, they get more comfortable using violence. The hero has a piece of hardware inside of his body that helps explain their true identity. Quaid gets a briefcase from some random guy he apparently used to know, and it has weapons, tools, and a recording of himself explaining everything about his past. He also learns that he has a tracking device in his skull that needs to be removed, and this confirms that his secret agent past is real. Bourne is unconscious when the device is removed from his hip, and even though it's not a tracking device, it does contain the account number and the address of a Swiss bank where he has a safe deposit box full of clues that confirm his secret agent identity. In both cases, the implant confirms what they really are, and they find money, weapons, and multiple passports with different identities. An assassin tries to kill the hero in their apartment. After killing his old friends in an alley, Quaid goes home and his wife tries to shoot him. After he takes the gun away, she pulls out a knife and tries to kill him with that. The exact same thing happens to Bourne when he goes to his apartment in Paris. Another agent jumps through the window and tries to shoot him, but after he knocks the gun away, the agent immediately pulls out a knife. The villain's motivations don't make much sense. Cohagen wants Quaid captured alive because the original plan was to erase Quaid's memory so he can work his way into a group of rebels and kill their leader. But his number 1 henchman Richter goes against his orders and tries to kill Quaid every chance he gets. In the Bourne Identity, the CIA director in charge of the secret project Treadstone wants to catch Bourne so he can find out why he failed his last mission. But instead of just trying to convince him to turn himself in, he constantly sends other agents to try to kill him. In both cases, the bad guy worked with the hero for years, and even though they claim they want him captured alive, all they ever try to do is kill him. A mysterious woman hesitantly decides to help the hero. Quaid meets up with a freedom fighter on Mars named Melina, and even though she's not happy to see him at first, she eventually decides to help him at the last minute. Bourne goes into an American embassy to avoid the local police and he meets a woman named Marie. She's having passport problems and needs money, so Bourne pays her thousands of dollars to give him a ride so he can escape the police. In both cases, the woman helps the hero with their mission and the two become romantically involved in the end. The hero's memory partially comes back and they realize that they were actually the bad guys. In Total Recall, Quaid doesn't remember anything about his former life, and even though he feels like a good guy, he finds out that he was actually working for the villains the whole time. In the Bourne Identity, Bourne confronts the Treadstone director and has a painful flashback about his last mission. He remembers that he's a high-level assassin that kills political rivals and he couldn't bring himself to kill the last target. The villains die in the same way they tried to kill other people. Richter fights Quaid on an elevator and tries to crush him as they pass under a floor, but Quaid overpowers him and gets the floor to rip off Richter's arms and make him fall to his death. In the final showdown, Cohagen accidentally blows himself out of an airlock and suffocates to death when he's exposed to the Martian atmosphere. Ironically, he just cut off the oxygen to the Martian colony and tried to kill them. The Treadstone director escapes and comes across one of his agents, and instead of helping him, he gets shot in the head. The senator above the Treadstone director wants to get rid of all the loose ends so he can save himself and avoid a scandal, but in the next film, he ends up killing himself when he's about to be exposed. The hero sets off on an uncertain but hopeful new life with his girlfriend. Quaid activates the alien device, making the Martian atmosphere breathable, and then he kisses Melina as the film fades out in a flash of light. If for some reason this wasn't all a dream, This ending means that they have a hopeful future ahead of them. When Bourne realizes that he's a government assassin, he decides that he doesn't want to be a killer anymore. He makes a clean getaway and goes with Marie to some undisclosed location where they can start a new life and not have to worry about being killed. Well, until the next movie. That's way too many coincidences for two movies that supposedly have nothing to do with each other. The details are too specific and the story beats match up too perfectly. The bad guys want to kill Bourne for no reason, and even in the sequels they continue trying to kill him when all he wants to do is be left alone and live a regular life. The sequels feel like Bourne went back to recall and they just continue with this last adventure like a saved game. Just think, like, if someone went there multiple times and wanted the secret agent option every time, they couldn't start from the same spot they did the last time, so they would have to continue the story from their last visit. So what do you think? Is Jason Bourne a real secret agent, or is he a regular guy that had fake memories implanted in his mind?